My name is CHIKE OGBOGU, dear listener. Let's start this way. How has it been confined in Abuja for about 3 years?
It is mixed, mixed in the sense that it was the height of injustice against a citizen who is yearning for good governance to be so terribly treated, both by the executive and the judiciary arm of government in Nigeria. It's been good that in the last 3 years, I've also had some of the best opportunities to organize in a way I have not done inside of Nigeria in the last 20 years. In fact, since the advent of the current democratic experiment in 1999, that started in 1999. I left Nigeria February 1999 before the elections that brought in President Olusegun Obasanjo. Came back 2017, 2018, and eventually ran for office for 2019. So I've had a gap of almost 20 years of absence from the political scene directly here in Nigeria. Being on the front line. So these last 3 years have afforded me the opportunity to reconnect, reorganize, and recalibrate the way I've not done since I left Nigeria in 1999. So that's my story.
Well, in your bid to recalibrating and to reconnecting, you ran into so much trouble with the federal government that at some point you were taken to court, and then one of your bail conditions was that you wouldn't leave Abuja. You stayed in Abuja for a while. Some would say, oh, well, you posted on your Twitter handle this week, it said you've been incarcerated for 3 years in Abuja, but now the courts have freed you. And your first movement was to Nasarawa State. How did it feel being alone, being solitary, confined within one state as an activist, as a crusader, a human rights crusader? You couldn't exercise those normal things, those normal rights you would have done if you were free.
That's correct. But freedom is relative as well. There are people who are physically unrestrained and unrestricted to a place who are not free. And there are people who sometimes are physically restrained and restricted who philosophically know that they can exercise their freedom to the best of their mental abilities. And I have enjoyed that because I didn't feel confined. I would correct you, though, that it's the government that has been in trouble with me, not the other way around, the federal government. They're the ones who have disgraced themselves, they're the ones who have exposed themselves the way nobody has ever exposed them. And I've been the one who's been organizing and using that opportunity to help propel the movement for liberation in our country again. So it has been an amazing experience. But I must say that I miss seriously my family. I have a wife and 2 kids that I know of who haven't seen me in a long time. And I really do miss that part of my life. But, if you do the kind of job, I do, if you engage in the kind of causes that I've been involved in, you must expect some of these things to happen to you.
All right, quickly, let's look at your party, AAC. Is the party still united as it used to be? Because at some point there were issues with your party sometime 2 years ago where there were these issues of you trying to hijack the party and all that. Have you been able to resolve that now that you are declared to contest for the post of president?
No, I want to correct you as well that I was never involved in trying to hijack the party. You cannot hijack a party you created. I was one of the founders of the party. I don't want to claim that I own the party. I don't. That wouldn't be correct because parties are established by people with common interests. And a lot of these guys were on board when we started the party. It was the federal government and several political interests that tried to hijack the party from me. from us, members of the party. But even if you call around in Ibadan today, you know that the party is on ground family. It's on ground all over the country. If you monitored my movement last week, I said you saw me in Nasarawa State.
Yes.
I was welcomed by party members, displaying party paraphernalia across board. You know, one thing you must understand is that the moment you have a progressive party in Nigeria, that the government that doesn't sing the praise of the government, that is not part of the corrupt activities of the Nigerian political elite, that is not involved in gerrymandering, and a party that is not made up of people without principle, carpetbaggers. They try to hijack your party. That's been naturally what they do, because what I found out in 2018, when I came on board at first was, I went around all the major parties. At that point, there were, 79 parties. I could not find a party that would accept my candidacy. They were all afraid, they were scared. And some of them confessed to me that they're just holding space for the two major political parties. In fact, most of them were created by elements and operators of the other party as special purpose vehicles for carrying out several of their nefarious political activities. So when we went underground and established our party, immediately alarm bells went up. And since we started campaigning and they discovered our style of campaigning, our ideas, our manifestos are different, and we're bold and unafraid and unbowed by the existing political structures, they started, working towards getting rid of our party, or getting rid of ourselves. And it was partially the reason why I was arrested. They told me that they could not live in a country where I have a political party, because that would be problematic for them. Those in power and those who are not in power but are in politics.
Well, you are so confident. You are so proud of the cause you are fighting for. However, still on your party, how strong is your party across the country, especially when it comes to words? Your party seem not to be entrenched locally, and they say politics is local. How do you intend making your party a toast for younger ones that would love your kind of ideology?
This is a party that is, at this point, I would say maybe 4 years old, because the party was established in 2018. And you are aware of it. Yeah. There's nobody I've spoken to who doesn't know about our party.
Yeah.
As I commenced my presidential run, posters are springing up everywhere. They are not posted by or pasted by ghosts. They are pasted by our party members. So we have party members in all the 36 states of the Federation. I know when you say, well, they don't exist in words. That's not true. What you are used to is the transactional form of politicking that is carried out by the two political parties, who hire people to represent them, hire crowds to go to their rallies. And there's nothing organic about them. Our party is organic. It's a philosophical party that exists in the minds of people. It exists also in their presence. They participate in our party events. We have engaged in elections across the country, even since 2019. We presented a candidate in the Edo election. We presented a candidate for governorship in Ondo election. We participated in local government elections. Lagos, as usual, tried to outsmart us, and we are in court regarding the Lagos local government elections. So a party like that cannot be said not to be in existence. If I asked you about the 18 political parties in Nigeria, aside from this party and maybe APC and PDP, you probably don't know about the rest. And there are still 18 political parties, but you know about the party on whose platform I ran, and most people know about it, and we have a lot of members across Nigeria, lots and lots of members. So, and this time around, people are even more interested because the major political parties have failed them regrettably, and they want to change course. And a lot of people have already changed course already. So the embrace of my candidacy at this point is as a result of the growing popularity of the party that we are talking about today, the African Action Congress.
With the Nigerian system, do you think the African Action Congress would weather the storm this time around in 2023? Considering the system, the political turf in the country, it might not be the kind of thing you want. Some will say your ideology is not the usual Nigerian political ideology. Do you think your party will be able to weather that storm in 2023?
What is the storm in 2023, if I may ask you? Is it election rigging or money politics or free and fair election? If it's going to be free and fair elections, trust me, we will weather the storm with our eyes closed. If it's going to be rigging, where people win election and you give it to the person who didn't participate in the election, we are a fighting party. We are a party that emerged from a movement known as the Take It Back movement. Okay. And if anybody mess with us by bringing us out of elections, we will fight in ways, more than one way that we know how to do. And the political class understand this very well. They got this memo as far back as 2018.
Okay, Omoyele Showore, you just hold it there. We want to go on a break, and when we come back, I'll be joined by my panelists, Barrister Yomi Ogunlola, who will be engaging you, and Professor Remi Ayede, who will be doing that very soon. But after this break, don't go away. Stay tuned. It's still the Podium on 32 FM 94.9. I am CHIKE OGBOGU.
32 FM
94.9. Èrò tí ròkó èrò tí ròdò ẹ̀kọ́ ohun ayọ̀ kan tí mo mú wá eré lápapọ̀ mẹ́gbòógì ìgbárùkù tí rò ní goro bójórúkú ni bó ṣọ̀pá ẹ̀nu adọ́lé ń bàm ló kápá wọn.
Ayédáadé ewé àti egbò tó fọkàn balẹ̀ adolimbam la lè fi wá gbogbo ibi tí bá ń roni gorogo orí ń fọ́ni ara ń roni gbogbo ìgbárùkù orúnkún ẹsẹ̀ àtọ̀pẹ́ ẹ̀yìn adolimbam ni ó fi wọ̀ lẹ́sẹ̀kẹsẹ̀ ni ó tu ọgbẹ́sẹ̀ nígbà tó jẹ́ pàṣẹ Ọlọ́run látara ewé àti egbò ni adolimbam márùkù ta kébé tí tó gbogbo iṣan ara dénú egungun ewé bùnmi omílèrè abba service ló gbé jáde #1 àbíyẹ omílèrè drive adébùnmi ọlọ́nṣogo estate ayégun ọ̀lẹ́yọ̀ Ìbàdàn 090302849 gbá wọn láago àwọn alágbàtà kárí Nàìjíríà.
ìgbárùkù tí ń ro ní goro bójórúkú ni bó ṣọ̀pá ẹ̀nu adọ́lé ń bàm ló kápá wọn.
bá a ṣe láwọn akọ́ṣẹ́mọṣẹ́ dókítà tíṣẹ́yé bẹ́ẹ̀ náà la láwọn àwòrán àṣà mẹkáníìkì GMF Auto Services Limited. bóyá ẹ̀ tí ìdébẹ̀ wò ní ọ̀jẹ̀ ẹ̀mọ̀ pọ́nmọ́nàmọ́pa àwọn erin lákàtàbù irinṣẹ́ ni ó diagnose mọ́tò yín kẹ́sẹ́ bí wọ́n ti máa fẹnu fapò sórí carburetor wait and get ni kò ní lọ kábọ̀ tí machine bá ti ń discover problem láàmú fix ẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ kan torí gbogbo original spare part ń bẹ́ẹ̀ lẹ̀ bíbà àwọn aláràlù àtàwọn aláràtúntà gan tó wá ń kó lọ́pọ̀ yanturu ṣẹ́rí pé gbogbo ń tẹ́ fẹ́ lójú kan ló wà.
Yes, so our services, the consultancy, diagnosis, key programming, transmission repair, maintenance, spare part sales, plus plenty ogbonge things. GMF Auto Services Limited. Day for number 3, Oni Lane, beside White House Hotel, behind Boys High School, Labawo, Ogunpa, Ibadan.
ẹ kọ́ pé wọ́n lórí aago náà kẹ́ ẹ mọ bó ṣe wà sí 08066348917 08066348917 tó o bá fẹ́ kẹ́mi ọkọ̀ rí ogun GMF ni ó yàn láàyò.
nínú ìfẹ́ àti ìṣọ̀kan lolódùmarè ń gbé torí ẹ̀ lọ́lọ́run ọba Allah fi mọ̀ọ́mọ̀ f'oṣù àpọ́nlé oṣù Ramadan ṣe kòńgẹ́ pẹ̀lú ọdún àjíǹde tọdún yìí.
láti wá jẹ́ kí Ramadan àtọ̀dún àjíǹde tọdún yìí ó jẹ́ ọdún ayọ̀ Beside Bricks Homes and Property tí mọ̀ọ́mọ̀ ṣàgbékalẹ̀ mega fiesta Ramadan Easter promo fún àlárere rẹ láti tètè di onílé lórí.
wà láìtàláì no be lie ó ti pọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ ló sì ti zẹ̀ pẹ̀lú ìfọ oríire 30% price reduction láwọn estate wa tó wà níbàdàn Ọ̀yọ́ Èkó Abẹ́òkúta Òṣogbo Ṣàgámù Ìjẹ̀bú jẹ̀bú àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ.
bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ṣe wá ń ralẹ̀ yín ní Design Bricks lásìkò ọdún yìí lẹ́tùn máa tẹ́wọ́ gba àwọn àràgbá yamuyamu ẹ̀bùn ọdún bíi tẹlifíṣọ̀n fan refrigerator aṣọ lace jalabia prayer mat tó fi mọ́ àwọn àǹfààní tó ti wà tẹ́lẹ̀ bíi free foundation free building plan 100 búlọ̀kù àtàkùn sìmẹ́ǹtì 5 Design Bricks ṣe gbáralé nínú àwọn tí ń talẹ̀ owó lẹ́wọ̀n wọ́n rárá lẹ́yìn fọ́ọ̀mù 5,000 naira tó o bá gbà o tún lè máa sanwó lẹ̀ rẹ díẹ̀díẹ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ pẹ̀lú ó kéré tó ẹgbẹ̀rún 5 náírà láàrin oṣù mẹ́fà sọ́dún kan ó yá pè wọ́n báyìí sórí 090-393-75110.
Design Bricks Mega Fiesta Ramadan Easter promo ta ló sọ pé kò pọ̀ kẹ̀ àjọsọ àti àdéhùn bẹ́ẹ̀ o.
Màámi, kí nìdí tá fi ń ṣe Ramadani?
Àkókò láti súnmọ́ Ọlọ́run ni àti àkókò láti ṣe ohun tó dára fún ọmọ ẹnìkejì wa.
Ṣé ìdí nìyẹn tá fi ń fáwọn alábàágbé wa lóúnjẹ nígbà iftar?
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni.
Ṣé mo lè pe gbogbo àwọn ọmọ kíláàsì mi láti wá jẹ gbádùn bọ́ǹfìtà nígbà iftar?
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni o lè pè wọ́n.
Gbé ìgbésẹ̀ ìfikún lórí ohun pínpín ní àkókò yìí. Bí Cadbury bọ́ǹfìtà ṣe ń fún yín ní àlékún 50 gram lórí gbogbo 450 gram ìpolówó àpò alátùnrọ̀ bọ́ǹfìtà tí ó bá rà. Bọ́ǹfìtà kún fún oríṣi vitamins àti minerals láti fún ara yín ní okun tí ẹ nílò ní àsìkò yìí. Bọ́ǹfìtà, agbára fún ìpinnu.
ṣe ti ṣetán láti ra ọjà pọ́ńtọ̀ lọ́dún yìí bẹ́ẹ̀ ti rà lọ́dọọdún ní Methodist Church Bódìjà YMCA ti ìjọ elétò tó wà ní Bódìjà ti ṣetán láti tà á ní pọ́ńtọ̀ gbogbo àwọn nǹkan èlò inú ilé nǹkan ìdáná aṣọ bàtà báàgì tẹlifíṣàn kọ̀ǹpútà nǹkan ẹ̀yà ara ọkọ̀ àti gbogbo àwọn nǹkan tó wúlò tó pọ̀ yamùrà tuntun tàbí èyí tọ́wọ́ ò tí ì dùn tí YMCA ti ìjọ Bódìjà ti kólẹ̀ ní rẹpẹtẹ láti tà ní owó ìdákọ̀mù lásìkò ọdún àjíǹde yìí lọ́jọ́ Easter Monday àti Tuesday láàrin aago 8 àárọ̀ sí 5 ìrọ̀lẹ́ lọ́jọ́ méjèèjì. Hello, Easter is here again. YMCA Jumbo Sales 2022 comes off on Easter Monday, 18th April and Tuesday, 19th April 2022 between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. daily at Methodist Church, Bodija, Secretariat Road, Bodija, Ibadan. Come to pick kitchen utensils, household gadgets, motor spare parts, shoes, bags, laptops, new and fairly used with a token. YMCA Jumbo Size. For inquiries, call Taiwo Motoday on 0803 062 9070. Kò sí iye tó kéré tí èèyàn mú débẹ̀ tí ò ní rọ́jà rà. Bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti ẹ̀ẹ́dẹ́gbẹ̀ta náírà 500 naira. YMCA Jumbo Size. Wàá mú tẹ̀rẹ̀.
Any flourish tea, any flourish capsule, egbògi ohun mímu tó fara lókun. Ó mára jí pépé o, ó mẹ́jẹ̀ mọ́ lóló. Ó dènà fúnpá gíga, any real boat global ventures ló ṣe é o.
Bó o bá rẹni tó mu any flourish tea, wàá ti dá mọ̀ yàtọ̀, á tutù lẹ́jẹ̀ dódódó, àwa máa dán lójú yọ̀yọ̀yọ̀. Ilé-iṣẹ́ any real boat global ventures ló ń ṣe é. Ògùn mímu atẹ́jẹ̀ṣe, tá a fi wé àtẹ̀gbò igi ilẹ̀ wa ṣe lóríṣiríṣi, nílànà ti gbàlódé, pẹ̀lú ìmọ́tótó, ó wà lólómi àtòníkóró, NAFDAC fòǹtẹ̀lú gbà. Ní gbogbo ilé ìtajà lẹ́tí lè ríra. Ilé-iṣẹ́ any real boat global ventures wà ní number 33. Ondo Street, Ọ̀ṣútòkun Avenue, Old Bodija, Ìbàdàn. Láti rà tàbí jí alágbàtà rẹ̀, ẹ pè 07067197812.
You're listening to 32 FM 94.9. When the people became silent,
the government became oppressive. It's time to lend your voice to politics.
On 32 FM 94.9.
Safa pelisizo simnyama Iwasafa Isizo saba Kavula mo Anichaleni ko Kelize Wemaye wemodo Asafa.
All right, welcome back. It's still Podium on 32 FM 94.9. I've been discussing with human rights activists and the publisher of Sahara Reporters, Omoyele Stephen Shore. Sure, it's good to still know you're there, and I'm being joined here by Barrister Yomi Ogunla. Barrister, good morning, and good to have you in the studios this morning.
Yes, good morning, Nigeria, and the Tiger. Sure, let me say good morning to you. It's been a very long time, and also I say good morning to the anchor of the program.
All right, before we went on that break, we're looking at the AAC as a political party. And then the next thing I would love to ask you, okay, let me allow Barrister Ogunlola because he has some questions. He wants to fire from all cylinders right now this morning. I know you're capable. You're there waiting to chest all those bullets right now.
Yes, I know he is a man who is capable of that. When I remember, I remember the activities that took place in Unilag in those days when he was still the student union president. His confrontation with the then Admiral Mike Ahibe. I know he's going to laugh when he hears this one. Shore has always been a man who speaks to power, irrespective of the consequences, and I respect him for that. Now, I want to ask Shore a question. Is it manifesto of his party is to reclaim Nigeria for the citizens? And I want to believe that would mean a kind of democratic revolution. Probably he was misconstrued or misunderstood by the government when he talked about revolution the other time. I understand it to mean democratic revolution. But in the face of prebendal politics of entitlement, and what you now call stomach infrastructure, what have you done, you and your group, to ensure that Nigerians know the revolution that you have in mind? What have you done to convince them to toe this line for this democratic revolution that you propose? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to thank you as well for remembering my past, because these kind of conversations are important. We are dealing with a number of young people who consume information based on peripherality on their understanding of persons, ideas, and events. Before I answer your question, I should also remind you that I was one of the people that led the insurrection against Chief Adedibu in Ibadan, when him and the late Adedibu and Arishekola brought the Abacha Must Stay campaign to Ibadan. We went to that Adamashiba Stadium and drove everybody out peacefully, I must say. The rest is history now. So you asked what we've been doing or what we'll keep doing. I think one of the things that you must know about my person is that after 2019, I did not stop campaigning after the election. I took a short break to go see my family in the US, came back, and we started the Revolution Now campaign so that people can understand that Nigeria can no longer continue on the platform of these false ideologies like stomach infrastructure, rub my back, I rub your back. And it was that shook the political establishment to the point that I was arrested, abducted practically from Lagos, flown to Abuja, and accused of terrorism, even though I was not engaging in any act of terrorism. And when they couldn't sustain that, they slammed charges of treason against my person, which is still outstanding till date, even though it had practically fallen apart. All of this was concocted to make the countrymen and women believe that our ideologies were dangerous to their own existence. But people now understand better, courtesy of the resistance we staged against the state, the democratic resistance we are talking about, that stomach infrastructure is not sustainable, and that the politicians who engage in these things are out to fool them. And it was to the point that our activities and those of other citizens led to what is now famously known as EndSARS, which practically was a repudiation of these ideologies you're talking about, even though it was cast as an anti-police brutality resistance in the country. And ever since then, we have staged several other protests. We have engaged in activities, including offline and online, that have continued to lend credence to the fact that we have better ideas on how to run this country, and that the country is in need of as you said, a democratic revolution, which is to do away with the past that's been hurting our people since 1960 when we got the so-called independence, and particularly since 1999 when there was this return to democracy. When I mean democracy, it's also subject to a lot of argument if we actually are practicing democracy or we are practicing what I've now referred to as morontocracy. So it is all these activities that has led us to where we are today, that I'm able to re-enter the presidential race with solid credentials. There was nothing that wasn't done to break me when I was in detention. They alleged that I went to Dubai to take money from some unknown persons, about $100 million to overthrow the government. Found out, as we now know, that I've never been to Dubai before, never, except flying to Kenya and one time I think Ethiopia through their airport, but never got out of the airport. So they dropped those charges. They also accused me of cyberbullying the president. But when they discovered that the most important clause in cyber stalking or cyberbullying is that the person who claims or who alleges that you are bullying him must present himself in court as a witness, they also dropped that charge, leaving me with the treason, the bogus treason charge that I was planning to overthrow the government with my bare hands. But you see, revolutions they start with ideas, and it is that idea that is persistent to today that's giving people more voice to understand that they can change their objective conditions by going the other way, which is anti or contrary to what they are used to, stomach infrastructure, vote buying, and all those other political engagements that have put them in more dire situations than they have been before now. Because look at Nigeria today with all the stomach infrastructure. People are hungry, they are malnourished. With all the vote buying, people can't send their children to school. This country is not safe. With all the political gerrymandering, trader money, and all of those very superfluous and frivolous leadership activities, look, Nigeria is down the toilet. And we're telling people that we can change course now if we adopt the revolutionary ideas that we have been preaching since 2018 and 2019. In fact, that I've been preaching my entire political life, which started at the University of Lagos in 1989, by the way, which will be 32 years in 2022.
Okay, now, Shore, there is something I really want you to touch, because for as long as we have the ones who set the criteria, for that long, they will control perception. And that is what exactly I am saying and where I really want you to look at. Now, if you look at the political terrain of Nigeria, we find that the determinants of our electoral process have remained, like you have been discussing, money, thuggery, religion, tribe. Competence and capacity comes to the background. It remains our bane. And that's why we're saying we need this democratic revolution. In your opinion, do you think that we have gotten to that stage where our people, particularly the voting majority, will do away with those warped determinants? Thuggery, money, tribe, religion. Do you think we can really get over that, especially given the intervention of the religionists into the political space? Of recent, Adeboye came out and was talking about, raising about 15 million voters, that a lot of people are looking at as bringing religion to the fore in our polity. So those are the issues I want you to address. Whether at the point we are at, we have been able to overcome.
Yes, I don't know if you can hear me loud and clear. Let me know.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay. So, you see, this whole question surround the perception and the feeling that we have about our country. But it's also the reality up to the point that this democratic revolution that is spreading will become codified in the minds of people. I believe, and I've seen it happen, even since I've been around for 3 years, that there is a mass rejection of this political philosophy that you have described. Because everybody who got 5,000, 10,000 naira 4 years ago to vote for the Buhari regime understands that it did not last them more than a week, or to vote for a governor or a senator or House of Rep member. They come to that realization. Everybody who has voted based on religious sentiment, particularly in the North, most of the voters that voted for Buhari based because he was a Muslim have realized that they were scammed, because look at their life now. Almost all the northern states have been taken over either by terrorists or bandits. And it's not mockery, because this is also coming to the South. And it's in fact already started in the South. So those who voted for him based on religious sentiment are regretting it. And those who have voted for the Christians amongst them, those in power today, are also regretting it, because they have been faced with
Okay. Before he comes back, we'll be looking at the party's agenda. Part of the party's agenda is what you call, they call it Spicer. And I want to wonder.
Hello?
Okay, you can go ahead, please. Yeah.
Sorry, I was disconnected for a while. Did you hear me?
No problems. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was disconnected for a little bit.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
So I'm still speaking to. Thank you. I'm still speaking to those things that used to happen in the past that are no longer fashionable, and these conversations are gaining wider ground. Remember when Vice President Yemi Osinbajo and the Redeemed Christian Church of God (RCCG) started as their political bureau in the church? There was backlash even from church members, that it looks suspicious that you want to corral us into another religious corner, whereas they want to be able to make decisions freely about who to vote for, whether they're Muslim or Christians, as long as these are persons of character. Because religion hasn't led us anywhere. Ethnicity has brought crisis, war, famine, and diseases. Every other sentiment that people have voted for in Nigeria has failed them, both individually and collectively. So it is the reason why this conversation today has gained more prominence and legitimacy, to the point that even you can describe it conveniently as democratic revolution, because that's what we need, and that's what I was preaching when I was arrested. And I'll tell you, in 2019, when I was arrested, or before I was arrested, people were afraid of the war, to the point that the day I was arrested, over 5 million people went on Google to search for the meaning of revolution. Because, yes, people were scared. The government was scared. The government spent over 10 billion naira just to stop that protest on August 5th of 2019, because they knew that if it starts, it will change forever the political characteristics of Nigeria. And these are the characteristics you mentioned in your question. So I believe that a lot more people, I don't have numbers or statistics to feed you with, have deviated from the standard of failure and disappointment that they have been confronted with, they've been fooled with or scammed with by the political class. And you've mentioned it all: money politics, ethnicity, divisive bigotry in the name of politics, deception, where they make promises that are never fulfilled. And the fact that while they preach for tightening of belt for the poor, they themselves are taking good care of themselves. I've mentioned repeatedly the minimum wage in Nigeria and the maximum wage. It's unbelievable. You can't even cover it. An average senator receives $7,000 a month, which is roughly equivalent to 14 million naira. A minimum wage for workers is $51 if you divide 30,000 by 580 naira to a dollar. So how do people continue to believe in such level of debasement and degradation by the political class? And I believe that's changing so fast. And I said earlier, I think that was part of why there was a NSAS, even though it looked as if it was against police brutality. It was actually against the brutality of the political class, against the Nigerian people.
All right, Omoyele Shure, quickly before Barrister comes on with another question. Your party, the AAC, is built on some ideologies, the agenda of your party. And part of the agenda is what you call the spicy heat. And then, in case those listening to us, dear listener, you want to know what the spicy heat is, okay, it's an acronym it's an acronym, and that acronym is what I want to get now. Well, it's an acronym for the word security, power, infrastructure, corruption, and public sector reform, economic, then you have restructuring, health sector, education, agriculture, and tourism. How do you intend, if
as well as technology?
If you eventually get a ticket to becoming the president of Nigeria, how do you intend to work these things out in just 4 years, in one term?
So it is our belief, and this has been spelled out. We have a website where you can find out a breakdown of it. So I'm not going to take too much of your time.
Yes.
But we know that without security, there is no way you can have, and you've seen it now. And without security, you can have investment in education. You can invest in any sector. Without security, nobody is bringing their companies to go and establish in your country and therefore create employment and add value to your economy. Without security, your children can't go to school. You can't even sleep in your houses. You cannot live comfortably and safely in any neighborhood for that matter. That's why we have probably the biggest internally displaced persons population in West Africa right now. People who are refugees inside their own country. And then the next thing is power. Power is the basis. It's the basis for industrial development. Anyway, when I mean power, electrical power. And what we've said is that we will invest immediately in the next 4 years, the same way Egypt and Morocco did. And they moved their power capacity from about 7,000 megawatts of electricity. Egypt went from about 10,000 to 24,000 electricity within 2.5 years. Who did they employ? Who did they partner with to do it? Siemens. Nigeria signed an agreement with the same Siemens in, I think, 2019 or 2018. Till today, there's not one pole of electricity in Nigeria because they were more interested in getting bribes and collecting money from Siemens than getting the project off the ground. To the point that it was at the Siemens meeting that the chief of staff to Buhari, Abakari, who, by the way, was behind my detention at that time, caught COVID and refused to treat himself because he was pursuing money all around, including in Egypt and London, didn't treat himself and eventually died. I don't want to mock, I'm not mocking him. I'm just telling you the reality. So without electricity, you cannot talk about any industrial development. Perish the thought. You can't produce without electricity. So our goal is to move our miserable electrical grid, become a modern grid, have a general mix of electrical sources. We talk about solar, we talk about gas, biogas, hydro. We talk about even converting, and I want to break it down quickly.
So just before you break it down, most of these things. Hello, are you with me?
These are technologies that are so simple these days that when you have fumblers running your country, they make it look as if it's rocket science to produce things that are available in large quantity in Ghana, in South Africa. It's the national grid has collapsed 3 times in 1 month. So, and you are here discussing industrial development, security, even for you to get security properly enshrined, not only national security, but also social security, you must have electricity.
All right.
So this is just very nonsense.
Many of
that we are stuck with.
Are you with
people
me?
Who don't have ideas.
Are you with me?
Whether these things are implementable. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. All these, like the Spicer heat I just talked about, one can still find them on the internet. But the question is, how do you intend making this happen in 4 years? Can you achieve these in 4 years?
Why not? The ones people would have built strong foundations for them to be sustainable over a period of 4 years. I just described to you how you can move from 7,000 megawatts of electricity to 24,000 the way Egypt did, and they hooked over 20 million houses to their national grid. The same thing for Morocco. So why is it not possible for the number 6 oil-producing nation in the world to provide electricity for at least 100 million people in 4 years? And then you start working towards the next 100 million people, your populace, in another 4 years that is left. But if you even do half of the country now, provide them with 24 hours of electricity, your economy will grow dramatically and geometrically. So there's no question about this. It's doable in 3 years.
Wow.
I have told you how long it took Egypt to do it, and with less investment. But these political criminals in our country have invested $16 billion in darkness. It's not debatable. You can't fault it because they have exposed themselves in the course of having political conversations about it. But Egypt spent $7 billion to get to where they are, $7 billion. So 4 years is done. It doesn't take 4 years to construct road from Abuja to Lagos. No, it doesn't. It shouldn't have taken 30 years to finish the highway from Lagos to Ibadan. No, it doesn't.
Now,
it's just a function of priorities, it's a function of expertise, it's a function of understanding of governance, it's a function of exposure, it's a function of partnerships, both at home and across the world. And it's a function of making sure that you don't continue voting for thieves to run your country. Because they will run it down. There's no any other way about it.
Barrister Ogunlola has a question for you. Let's do that because time is not on our side. We'll do that and ask one or two before we call it a wrap. Barrister.
Yes, sure. There is an issue that I would want you to really clarify, and that's the perception that appears to be out there that preparatory to 2015 elections, you were actively involved with the present actors parading the corridors of power. It is even alleged in some quarters that you were given money by the emperor in Lagos, to do most of the things that you did to get Jonathan out of the seat. Now, we find that a new word has resurrected in our political and electoral lexicon, and that is the word betrayer, being leveled against Professor Yemi Osinbajo for aspiring. So I want to ask, are you a betrayer too? Because you have parleyed with them in the past. You are alleged to have collected money from them in the past. You are alleged to have been, to have used the resources at your disposal to ensure their victory at the polls. So, are you a betrayer?
It's interesting that now that you're asking this question, the lights are going in and out. But if you're hearing me loud and clear, I want to be categorical that as journalists, as respected members of society, we just don't make, flippant allegations against persons without proof. But having said that, is that I have said it anywhere in the country. I've said it severally that if you have ever seen me in Tinubu's house before, in his house, please expose me. If any transaction has ever gone on between me and Tinubu in life, please expose it. I've only met Tinubu once in my life. That was 1999, after Abacha died. And he was walking around in Ikeja campaigning for Obanekoro. They were together. And Dr. Fasheon, late, saw him and said, this is the man they call Tinubu. That was the first time I met him close range. Before then, as a student leader in Nigeria, and during the pro-democracy days, when we would go to meetings, they would sit at the back while we are at the front because we control the streets. And they have not denied it. The other part is that, how could you betray Jonathan? Jonathan was the one who betrayed the Nigerian people. But I understand how our memories are very short, memory of Nigerian people, and they allow politicians to manipulate them. How can you say that someone who is exposing corruption like myself, which is what I did I've always done my entire life, betrayed a thief who was robbing your treasury, which is what Jonathan did in conjunction with a lot of people.
Those are strong allegations. Strong allegations.
Yes, because the EFCC is still recovering money from his wife. They are not allegations. These are things in public domain. Jonathan was alleged to be involved in a 1 billion naira shell bribery issue that involved his attorney general. These are not deniable facts. So people who ruined your country and people who are trying to save the country, you are asking me, who has fought since 1989 for democracy, for transparency in government, for the rights of minorities, that I'm betraying thieves who found themselves in office and frittered away your wealth. It is the reason why there was no second Niger bridge. Jonathan promised to do it. They stole the money. Money meant for Boko Haram. They stole it. They are in court defending these allegations.
All right, we have about 4 minutes.
They stole it.
Yeah, we have about 4 minutes.
One time meant for poverty allegations. Just listen to Beyonce to perform in a concert, and you are alleging that I'm a betrayer. How can I betray thieves? They have betrayed us.
Yes.
Don't forget that don't forget, wait 1 minute.
Yes.
Don't forget that when the Yaradua cabal was holding Jonathan to ransom, it was Sahara reporters that saved the situation, and he became the acting president and eventually became president of Nigeria. Also, I must say here, I've never met Jonathan before in my life. In fact, I've never met a Nigerian president, dead or alive. I avoid them like a plague because all of them are the same. And I'll say last one thing. When Jonathan joins the APC, maybe next week, would you still call people who fought against his criminal regime betrayers?
You just made a statement now. You just asked a question. He said, when Jonathan joins the APC next week, how sure are you? You're sounding affirmative.
Well, if you don't know, Jonathan has been working on the ground with Buhari to join the APC. And as of next week, he's likely to join. He's practically a shadow member of the APC right now. And they are still promising him the presidency. So you are telling me that these guys who are not different from each other, I'm the one who is supposed to be held responsible for their criminal activities against the Nigerian people.
Anyway, sure. I have.
And I will say one last thing.
Yeah. Okay.
I have never had any financial transactions with any politician in Nigeria. Not with Tinubu, not with Buhari. Even when Buhari won election, I came to New York and they said they want to meet with me. I refused to meet with him because I know that they will come around and lie that meeting has some kind of financial implication. I don't meet with these people, and you can prove me wrong by providing the evidence if you have it. But if you don't have it, please wait an apology from you as well.
Oh no! I reported what is in the news. It is not me alleging you. I know you. I know you. I'm just reading out. Oh no. Okay. I have a last question.
Two Judases cannot betray themselves.
Exactly.
Okay.
I have a last question for you, Shore.
Yeah.
And the question is this. Sometime last week, the Sultan of Sokoto predicted that there may be no Nigeria in 2023. What's your position on that?
In 2022, is there a Nigeria that you can call a country? A country that has lost half of its territory to terrorists. A country that has lost part of its topography and geography to bandits. A country whose citizens prefer to die in Ukraine than return back to their country when there's war. Is that a country? Has Nigeria not really started, to stop? I mean, hasn't Nigeria stopped existing already, in all honesty? What we are doing here is to see how we can all come together, reasonable people, revolutionary minds, to stop Nigeria from tipping over, because that has almost happened. The Sultan came late to the prophecy of Nigeria coming to an end. But we can bring back Nigeria of our own if we are honest and we are willing to join hands and forget about the past that put us in the condition that we're in today, sir.
Lastly, what's your relationship with Mazin Namdi Kano? You're always there at the court's premises anytime he has a sitting. What's your relationship with him?
For me, I was born after the Civil War. I was born in 1970, so I didn't partake in the Civil War. And part of Nigeria's problem is that they keep voting for people who fought war, and they haven't stopped the war. For me, the Biafran agitation, Yoruba agitation, they are all calls for justice. And when I see injustice anywhere, whether it happened to Mazin Namdi Kano or Sheds or NSAS, I fight it. And that's why you see me going to court, because I know he was abducted and I know he cannot get justice in a Nigerian court. So I go there to reiterate the fact that he's an innocent man. And if he's not innocent, the possibility of proving his innocence in the presence of his adversaries is impossible. I've been through that before and I know what they are doing. I know the game they are playing. That's why I go there to confront it. And that's why they come there from time to time with knife, cordial, machete, guns to attack me.
All right. Thank you for featuring on the podium this morning, Omoyele Shore. It has been awesome speaking with you. Unfortunately, Professor Remi Ayede would have wanted to ask one or two questions, but you'll have to go now based on what we discussed before the interview. I hope when you eventually come to Ibadan, we'll get to see.
Yeah, I think let me rephrase what he has just asked you. The next time we don't want you on Zoom.
I'll be everywhere soon.
Want you in Ibadan.
I'll come to the studio in Ibadan.
Yeah,
and we can do toe-to-toe.
Yeah, the last time you came to, last time you were in Ibadan in 2019, we're together here in the studio. So hopefully we should be together again, as campaigns will be starting very soon. You'll be moving around, campaigning for your party, and then we get to see how things pan out then. I wish you all the best in your future endeavor.
Thank you guys very much, and I just want to say we can't continue like this. We can't.
All right, thank you. It's been Omoyele Shore on the podium this morning, and it's been awesome. And on the other part of the podium this morning, I shall be speaking with a representative of the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo. Who is here? He's the spokesperson for the Osinbajo campaign group in Oyo State. We'll get to engage him after this break. Don't go away. Stay tuned. It's still the podium. I am CHIKE OGBOGU with Barrister Yomi Ogunlola and Professor Yemi Ayede.
FM
94.9.
2 wraps of amala with spaghetti and assorted. No, let me have jollof rice instead. But this chicken and chips and ice cream go make sense, oh. Lanre, have you sent the mail?
Sir, that's what I'm doing.
Lanre, but you're busy on Jumia Food.
It's not my fault. They are giving discounts and delivering for free, so I need to enjoy it well.
Really? Yes. Jumia Food is giving everyone in Ibadan a 20% discount and free delivery on any meal ordered from the 10th to the 30th of April. So start ordering and satisfy all your cravings. Jumia, your everyday delivered.
Ìmọ̀lẹ̀ dé òkùnkùn parada. Ojúlọ́ba ara aba capsule. Ojú ni ìmọ̀lẹ̀ ara. Èdùmàrè má gbòde ọ̀sán lọ́wọ́ wa. Àkànṣe gbòógì tá a fi mọ̀ ìjìnlẹ̀ ṣe fún ìtọ́jú ìmọ̀lẹ̀ tí ò mọ́lẹ̀ kedere. Tàbí tó ń wò báyìí. Ojúlọ́ba ara aba capsule. Egbògi oníkóró ni NAFDAC ìlú ló ń tẹ̀ gbà. Authentic Clear Vision ló ṣe é. Ó wà ní chemist àti pharmacy stores lágbègbè rẹ̀. Ẹ tún lè ríra lọ́fíìsì Authentic Clear Vision. Tó wà business complex. Lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ Amidu Ajibade shopping complex Gate Ìbàdàn. Àǹfààní ńlá wà fún alágbàtà tó ń kó ní pálípálí. Ẹ pè 08061959663. Ojúlọ́ba ara aba capsule. Tí o bá sí àyípadà bó o ṣe fẹ́ tètè lọ rí dókítà rẹ o.
Ojúlọ́ba ara aba capsule. Ilé iṣẹ́ Authentic Clear Vision ló gbé jáde.
Gbogbo ẹni tọ́dún bá bá láyé ọlọ́dún ni gbogbo wọn. Ìdí nìyí tí ilé ìtajà Living Proof Bakery and Supermarket fi gbé àrà ọ̀tun yọ lásìkò oṣù Ramadan yìí. Gbogbo ẹ̀yin oníbàárà wa pátápátá ìfà tí kì í fani lápòyà rèé tẹ́ ẹ bá ti ra èyíkéyìí àwọn ọjà nílé ìtajà wa Living Proof Bakery and Supermarket tí owó rẹ̀ sì tó ẹgbẹ̀rún 10,000 náírà 10,000 naira upward. Ẹ láǹfààní sáwọn àgbọ̀kọ̀há ẹ̀bùn lóníranran bẹ́ẹ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ lẹ́dínwó ń bẹ lórí àwọn ọjà wa gbogbo. Pẹ̀lú ẹ̀dínwó lọ́pọ̀ yanturu bí oúnjẹ jíjẹ, ọtí ẹlẹ́rìndòdò, ìpara, toiletries, sardine bread àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ láwọn ilé ìtajà wa tí ń bẹ káàkiri ní Fẹ́lẹ́lẹ̀, Old Pinnacle, Ìbàdàn, Lẹ́lẹ́yẹlé, Ológun Ẹ̀rú Road, ládojúkọ Mania Fueling Station, Ìbàdàn.
Àti ní Gasta Filling Station, Ọjọ́ tó wú tinú ọgbà Lead City University.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ àti èyí tó wà ní LP Plaza, Láyégún Ọ̀lẹ́yọ̀ Road, Ìbàdàn. Fún àlàyé lẹ́kùnrẹ́rẹ́ ẹ lè pè wá sórí 0803-545-7120 tàbí 0815-466-4418.
Makọ́lé mara lẹ̀.
Ìgbàgbọ́ gbogbo èèyàn ní pé ń bá kọ́lé nù kọ́ ló ń di lálọ́. Before you pay ló tún gbára mi dé. Before you pay ilé-iṣẹ́ tó ń bá ní wádìí ojúlówó lẹ̀. Bá ní ralẹ̀. Bá ní talẹ̀ tún bá ní sọlẹ̀ ní dowó. Láìtí ìkọ́lé ẹ̀yin náà lè di landlord kẹ́sì máa gbowó gọbọi pẹ̀lú 500,000 naira. Pẹ̀lú 500,000 naira. Ẹ lè ra éka ilẹ̀ kan ní Royal Farm City tó wà ní Àgọ́ Ìwòye. Abẹ́òkúta tàbí farmland wa tó wà nílùú Ìbàdàn. Ilé-iṣẹ́ Before you pay tún bá ní wá àwọn èèyàn tí ó máa lo lẹ̀ ní. Láwùjì máa gbowó tó tóbi 100,000 lórí ẹ̀ lọ́dún. Pàpàǹbarì ni pé pẹ̀lú 50,000 ìwọ náà lè fowókọ sílẹ̀. Wọ́n sì sàn yókù bíi díẹ̀díẹ̀. Ẹ yọjú sí ilé-iṣẹ́ Before you pay tó bá súnmọ́ àdúgbò tí yín. Number 58 Liberty Road, Adéjùmọ̀ House, Òkè Àdó Ìbàdàn, Ọ̀yọ́ State. Níjẹ̀bú Òde, Number 19 Ìbàdàn Road. Opposite Alhamoni Bookshop, Ìbàdàn Road, Ìjẹ̀bú Òde, Ògùn State. Tàbí Number 34 Abẹ́òkúta Street, Anífowóṣe Ìkẹjà nílùú Èkó. Ẹ pè 08068059680. Gbọ́ dáadáa o 0806-805-9680. Pẹ̀lú Before you pay o lè di landlord láì kọ́lé.
Aisha, my neighbor, I made your favorite Auntie B pasta. Come join us for iftar.
Oh, thank you, Zainab. May Allah reward you.
The goodness of Ramadan is meant to be shared. Share the blessings of this season with delicious meals made with Auntie B pasta.
Zainab, are you inviting Aisha alone?
Oh yeah, you too, come.
Make the smart choice for your family this Ramadan by starting and breaking your fast with the delicious Auntie B products. Auntie B, your smart choice.
Egbògi kan ti délẹ̀ yìí. Egbògi àtẹ̀jẹ̀ ṣe ni. Ó dára fẹ̀jẹ̀ gidi gan. Veneto cleanser ló ń jẹ́ o. Veneto cleanser ló ń jẹ́ o.
Ojú rẹ̀ ṣàǹjọ̀lọ̀ lójoojúmọ́ kí làṣírí ẹ wà rí.
Veneton cleanser ni.
Já mi sí ọ̀rẹ́.
Veneton cleanser. Egbògi àtẹ̀jẹ̀ṣe tí bádọ̀tí ara wọ̀ yá ìjà rẹ̀ wọ́n mọ́lẹ̀ ṣe wọ́n yẹbẹyẹbẹ. Inú tó ń dàrú gbòdògbòdò kò bára rẹ̀ èrí inú ẹ̀jẹ̀. Amọ̀nà ti dé o. Veneton cleanser egbòogi atẹ́jẹ̀ṣe tí a fi ewé àti egbò ṣe ní ọ̀nà tìgbàlódé. NAFDAC fòǹtẹ̀lù MA1 Nigeria Limited ni wọ́n gbé Veneton cleanser jáde. A wà ní nọ́mbà 17 Ọba Akínyẹlé off Adeogun Street Aláàfin Avenue Olúyọ̀lé Estate Ring Road Ìbàdàn. Telephone 08034051533 fún títà àti rírà. Ìwọ náà darapọ̀ mọ́ wa. Veneton cleanser àmọ̀tẹ́kùn egbòogi tí ya gbogbo kòkòrò inú ẹ̀jẹ̀ wẹ́lẹ́wẹ́lẹ́.
Irú èyí ò ṣẹlẹ̀ rí o. Ó mà lé ní mílíọ̀nù kan ènìyàn tí ìjọba ilẹ̀ Canada ti pinnu láti gbà láàyè kó wá gbé kó sì máa ṣiṣẹ́ ní orílẹ̀-èdè náà. Ṣùgbọ́n o, ọ̀lẹ ò lè gbẹ́lu wa làṣà tíjọba ilẹ̀ Canada ń dá. Ẹni tó bá lè ṣiṣẹ́ nìkan ni wọ́n ń wá. Jonathan King Limited ti ṣetán láti ràn ọ́ lọ́wọ́ láti di ọmọ onílẹ̀ lórílẹ̀‐èdè náà bí o bá jẹ́ akọ́ṣẹ́mọṣẹ́ oníṣẹ́ ọwọ́ àbí akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ gboyè. Bó sì jẹ́ o fẹ́ lọ kàwé ní orílẹ̀‐èdè Canada wà lára orílẹ̀‐èdè tó dára tó sì rọjú jùlọ láti kàwé lágbàáyé. O lè jẹ́ akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ kó o sì tún máa ṣiṣẹ́. Bẹ́ẹ̀ sì ni àǹfààní owó ìrànwọ́ wà àti ètò ẹ̀yáwó kàwé tí kò lélẹ̀ nú. Tètè lọ gba fọ́ọ̀mù tiẹ̀ ní Jonathan King Limited Ajakini àti Ìkẹfà Cocoa House Ìbàdàn àti The Bronx Bookshop lẹ́bàá Our Saviour's Cathedral Ìjẹ̀bú Òde.
Ilẹ̀kùn Jonathan King Limited yóò wà ní ṣíṣí sílẹ̀ ní gbogbo àkókò ìsinmi àjíǹde. Ọjọ́ 19 oṣù kẹrin ọdún yìí ni ìforúkọsílẹ̀ yóò wá sópin o.
Omi làbù mú omi làbù ẹ̀ ẹnìkan kì í bómi ṣọ̀tá. Àbájọ tí wọ́n fi sọ pé omi nìyè láti wá mu ìfọ̀kànbalẹ̀ nínú omi. Vine drinking water ní kẹ́ ẹ béèrè fún níbikíbi àti nígbàkúùgbà. Omi tá a gbé jáde pẹ̀lú irinṣẹ́ ìgbàlódé láàyè tó mọ́ tónítóní tó tún fini lọ́kàn balẹ̀. Ọ̀pọ̀ ilé oúnjẹ ilé ìtura tó fi mú àwọn aláyẹyẹ lóríṣiríṣi pẹ̀lú gbogbo ẹni tí kì í fìlera wọn ṣeré ni wọ́n ti yan Vine drinking water láàyò. Àdúrà sí ni gbogbo alágbàtà omi ń fi ṣe. Vine drinking water tún bá ní customize omi fún èyíkéyìí ayẹyẹ tẹ́ ẹ bá fẹ́ ṣe bí ìgbéyàwó ìṣílé ìfinijoyè ọjọ́bí ìsìnkú àgbà àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ pẹ̀lú ike omi wọn tó dáyàtọ̀ tó dúró déédéé tó lálòpẹ́ tó dàbí èyí tí wọ́n ń ṣe lókè òkun. Owó péréte ni wọ́n fi bá yín customize omi fún ayẹyẹ tẹ́ dájọ́ ẹ̀ sọ́nà yẹn. Ọ̀pọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ wá kágbọ̀n o iléeṣẹ́ Vine drinking water kalẹ̀ sí lane 17 Ajokoko Street Ẹlẹ́bù Ìbàdàn. Telephone 091-2287-0706. Website www.thevinewater.com. Vine drinking water. Ẹ mú fọkànbalẹ̀ nínú omi.
You're listening to 32 FM 94.9. When the people became silent,
the government became oppressive. It's time to lend your voice to politics.
On 32 FM 94.9.
Safa sapeli sizo simnyama Iwasafa Isizo saba Kavula mo Hanijaleni ko Kelize Wemaye wemodo Safa sapeli sizo simnyama Iwasafa Isizo saba.
All right, welcome back. It's still the Podium on 32 FM 94.9, the station where joy resides. The first session was with Omoyele Sowore. The second session is with the spokesperson for the Oshibajo campaign group in Oyo State, Adetayo Adekunle. Tayo, it's good to have you on the program this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
For 7 years, Professor Oshibajo has occupied the position of Vice President to the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces, President Muhammad Buhari. But on Monday, the 11th day of April 2022, Professor Oshibajo came out of the looming shadows of his principal, announcing to his supporters that he wants to succeed his boss, whose term ends next year. The preacher man, who turned Vice President, now joins a list at least 4 of the candidates in his All Progressives Congress ruling party who wants exactly what he wants. We'll be dissecting Oshibajo's chances via this medium today, and we'll be looking at the presidency. Let's start with this on a lighter note.
Yes.
It's lighter, but it's also a serious issue too.
Yes.
He has been termed the Judas in the Ashiwaju camp. Remember, this is the spirit of Easter. What did Judas do? Judas betrayed Jesus Christ. Then, in the Bible, and then, after betraying Jesus, Jesus was then crucified. Then you want to ask, why would Professor Yemi Oshibajo be termed the Judas in the Ashiwaju camp?
Well, I think that the two narratives are not even the same.
Okay.
Because like some other persons would say, if you call Osinbajo a Judas, then has Tinubu been crucified yet? And the answer is no. But I think that for a very long time, members of Lagos APC, by extension the Tinubu political family, they have not felt, or they have not really practiced, what democracy is, as regards the plurality of opinions, and the inalienable right to freedom of choice. It has always been about Baba Sokwe, what the leader says. And, Professor Yemi Osinbajo is a full-blooded Nigerian. He is not under servitude. He is not subservient. And he meets all of the requirements stipulated in the Constitution to run for the presidency of Nigeria. And for a while, people have been calling upon him to step forward, and join the race officially. And now that he has joined, some people somewhere are saying he's Judas.
Was he coerced by people, or he actually wanted to join the race for a cause?
Well, I do not expect a man who became a professor at 37, to be coerced by people to join a race. But, of course, people also have their inalienable rights to express themselves by saying that we have identified certain intrinsic qualities in this gentleman, and that he fits the bill. And if he accepted their clarion call, which was in line with his own personal desire, there is no big deal about it.
All right, Professor Remi Ayede, it's good to have you on the podium this morning.
Yeah, good morning.
All right, your bullet is there, your gun is fully loaded. Please shoot.
Yeah, I'm just wondering why you want to sever Professor Osinbajo from the character of the Tinubu political machine. He was there all the time, Attorney General of Lagos State under Tinubu. It's also Tinubu that was instrumental to his ascendancy to the office of Vice President. And he's been there for 7 years. We have all these challenges in this country. Does he really have a voice? Is he not a stooge of those forces? On what basis should we have confidence that he will make a difference? Because he comes from that background of the Tinubu machine. And he's also served under the current president. 7 years of grueling experiences, from security to economy to education. We are in crisis. How do we explain the role of Osinbajo in all of that?
Yeah, thank you, Professor Ayede. It's a privilege to be on this panel. Professor Ayede was my teacher at UI, even though you might have forgotten, but I will be disagreeing with my teacher this morning. And we always disagree, even in room 154, in the University of Ibadan. So, in order to properly, situate the facts in their right perspective, what you can do is to, analyze the functions of the office of the Vice President. For those of us who have, been able to review a little bit of literature about that office, it is essentially an office of silence. And I say that because aside the nebulous chairmanship of the Economic Council in the Constitution did not expressly donate any power directly to the Vice President. He serves, as VP, he handles assignments at the discretion of Mr. President. And if you are to analyze that, let us analyze, the period in which he served as acting president. When he had the full paraphernalia of that office and the powers attached thereto. We saw the shuttle diplomacy that he did, in the Niger Delta. We saw how he defended the Constitution when the then DSS DG, laid a siege on the National Assembly. We also saw, according to economists, that during his 51 days in office, the dollar slightly came down, when he was also acting president. And keep in mind that even with his antecedents as Attorney General in Lagos, where he was, the Attorney General is master unto himself, according to the law, he performed exemplarily. He was the first attorney general that brought about digitalization of the judiciary. Lawyers were filing cases electronically when he was there in Lagos. He helped to improve the conditions of service of judiciary. Till today, Lagos has 70 High Court judges. Oyo only has about 27 or 28 or thereabouts. Even as AG, he was a legal proponent of the practice of true fiscal federalism through some of the landmark cases that he fought and won at the Supreme Court level. So by and large, you cannot really detract Osinbajo from what President Buhari has done, but you can analyze him individually. You can analyze his acting presidency. You can analyze his position as Attorney General of Lagos State. And look, there's no perfect man. There is no saint anywhere. But given the evils, quote and unquote, that currently pervades Nigeria's electoral polity, by and large, Yemi Osinbajo stands head and tail above all other aspirants running for the presidency of Nigeria.
Do you agree with him, Barrister Ogunlola?
Well, I will not completely agree with him, especially given the realities of the times. I have severally condemned the pugnacious disposition of a certain group, whose acts I consider to be most unpatriotic, because it speaks volumes for our brand of democracy, and that it also shows how Lilliputian are their thoughts, especially with respect to this so-called betrayer and Judas and what have you. But the question I am asking is this: does it lie in the mouth of a Yemi Osinbajo to condemn? I think that is where Prof was actually driving at, to condemn what we are seeing, particularly in the Tinubu's camp, because he was instrumental in the creation of this monster that is now threatening to devour him. Is that not the case, that Yemi Osinbajo was instrumental to the creation of this monster threatening to devour him?
I think there's no monster threatening to devour anybody here. In the national order of precedence, Yemi Osinbajo is the number 2 man, and so he even takes precedence over Asiwaju Tinubu.
I am looking at his role
as Attorney General.
Yes,
when he
was Attorney General of Lagos.
Yes,
most of the things he did, were in the overriding public interest.
I will disagree,
and I say
with
that
you.
with all sense of responsibility.
I will disagree with you on that, because
Sir,
we know that several laws were enacted, which came from government to the House of Assembly, to give validity to most of the acts considered illegal that were perpetrated by the administration of Tinubu.
If you say that, it would be interesting to know, whether those laws were challenged in court and what the decisions of the court were in those matters. What we know that he did during that, some of the landmark achievements of his tenure as Attorney General were, like I said, improving the conditions of the judiciary, bringing about the digitalization of the judiciary, establishment of the office of the public defender, and so on and so forth. But again, look at some of the landmark cases that he handled in, the cases, for instance, on creation of local governments, the unlawful seizure of Lagos State local government funds, the cases on inland waterways, the cases on revenue generation, the cases on urban and regional planning. Till today, I'm happy Barrister Ogunlola is here. Till today, one of the unique selling points of Osinbajo in the legal community is that till today, no chief law officer or attorney general at subnational level has been able to achieve all of the reforms that he put place in Lagos. Some of them are just being copied in order. For instance, Oyo State Judiciary is just about digitalizing the judiciary so that you can have case management system. These were innovations that he put there 20 years ago.
Well, let me come in here. You know, when we talk about politics, there's both the formal and the informal dimension.
Yeah.
Yes. And my real concern is really that it is in the informal dimension that you really see the hand of politics, the strength and power. That's why Tinubu is the national leader of the APC without holding any portfolio, in government. And that's where we are. That all the political shenanigans that went on in Lagos, Oshibajo was part of it. And that is why he knows very well how deadly that machine can be, and has cleverly relocated to Ogun State, leaving the rest of them who cannot do the same thing to their fate in Lagos. So I think we really can't run away from the fact that it's a product of dangerous politics.
Well, Prof, thank you for using the word relocation. Professor Oshibajo's dad is a full-blooded Ikene indigene in Ogun State. And of course, I'm also from Oyo, but I was born in Ibadan. I've also lived practically all of my life in this city. But I vote in Oyo. So the fact that he has decided to reconnect with his roots in Ikene does not mean he avoided what you call the deadly political machine of Ashiwa. There are quite a lot of people who have dissenting opinions with Tinubu in Lagos. Fuadoki is there. There's Jide Adediran is there. Jimmy Agbaje is there, and so on and so forth.
Where will Jimmy Agbaje go?
All of them have not been crushed.
Where will they go?
Well,
they are Lagosians.
I wouldn't know, but
that's why Adegbeshola has to go to Osun State.
No, look, some people will even tell you that apart from their worries, nobody can really call himself a Lagosian.
That's a debate for another day.
Of course,
we'll look at the history of their worries.
Okay. Yeah. Now let me also come in here.
Yes.
I want us to look back at the activities of Yemi Osinbajo in the corridors of the federal power.
Yes.
There were some allegations, prior to the death of Abba Kyari.
Yes.
That he was fingered, in some untoward dealings, financial dealings, especially mentioned was with the Fowler-led FIRS then.
Okay.
And there was this allegation that he actually he knelt down to beg Abba Kyari. No. Let me learn. If those allegations are true, isn't it possible that the one beating the drum for this dancer is actually under the water? That they have Osinbajo's balls and they intend to use him. Not Osinbajo's actual dreams.
In the local political settings, in Ibadan here, there's what Yorubas will call Ibon Oshelu, and that is what we call propaganda. Those are allegations, and they exist only in the figment of the imaginations of those who are propounding such theories. Yemi Osinbajo and Tunde Fowler, they are childhood friends. They were in Igbobi College together. They were like a trio of friends with His Excellency Ashekun, who is Nigerian High Commissioner to Canada. So perhaps people might have weaved all sorts of allegations around that. But I think that given what we know about politics, about the bitterness that exists in political corridors, if truly there were such allegations, I'm sure that that we would have had, even if not something huge, would have had a modicum of proof on that allegations. Those allegations are untrue. Even after that, the president still asked his VP to chair the Economic Sustainability Committee, which was essentially about post-COVID recovery. And even prior to that, in the first term, he was also in charge of the Social Investments Program, which was arguably the best in the history of Nigeria. Nobody has ever attempted to conceptualize and implement a poverty alleviation program that you could benefit without having to go through an intermediary like, say, an House of Rep member or a senator.
All right. Before we go on this break, let me put this question to you.
Yes.
In the opening speech of the Vice President's declaration of his presidential aspiration, he said, "In the past 7 years, I have served as Vice President under a true Nigerian patriot, a servant of the nation in war and peace, and a man of integrity, President Muhammad Buhari." End of quote. This quote has left many wondering if the Vice President is still acting with his hands tied. What about Buhari making him a servant of the nation? His constant shock at, most times when the president leaves the country, you feel the Vice President was supposed to, show his loyalty, right?
Yes.
Then, is his loyalty to the... I'm asking you two questions.
Yes.
His loyalty, is it to the president or to the people now?
It is to both of them, because the president bears the mandate of the people. He is there in representative capacity. He won elections in 774 local governments, 36 states and the FCT, and over 100,000 polling units. So the vice president is expected to show fidelity to his principal, the president, to the people, and to the constitution of Nigeria. If he says, the president is a patriot, he's not expected to come out and say that
wasn't the first
patriot.
Line of that speech showing that his hands were still tied?
No.
He could be controlled if he becomes president.
No. There was nothing about hands being tied. I've told you already that this man had been acting president before, and we saw what he did.
Does he have a relationship with the cabal?
I do not know.
The cabal are those that will make sure that even if he becomes president, they'll still control the shot. They'll control the shots.
It is very difficult to control a president who has his mental acuities, who has sufficient education, and who has international exposure. And that's one point I forgot to add. Of all the aspirants that are also running, only Yemi Osinbajo has a requisite international exposure to conduct Nigeria's foreign policy extremely well.
He's going to contest against the likes of, the likes of Peter Obi, maybe the likes of Atiku Abubakar, maybe, you don't know, even within the party, you have many people coming out to become president under the party, APC.
In the APC,
the likes of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Let's limit to APC now. In the APC, nobody has his international exposure. Asiwaju Tinubu has not featured at AU, neither has he featured at ECOWAS or G7 summits.
But he's a godfather, right?
Well, that's also questionable.
Let's go on this break. We'll go on this break, and when we come back, the conversation continues. I still have my guest here, Adetayo Adekunle, the spokesperson for the Osinbajo campaign in Oyo State.
Stay tuned to 32 FM 94.9.
Egbògi kan ti délẹ̀ yìí, egbògi àtẹ̀jẹ̀ ṣe ni, ó dára fẹ̀jẹ̀ gidi gan. Veneto cleanser ló ń jẹ́ o. Veneto cleanser ló ń jẹ́ o.
Ojú rẹ̀ ṣàǹjọ̀lọ̀ lójoojúmọ́ kí làṣírí ẹ wà rí.
Veneto cleanser ni.
Já mi sí ọ̀rẹ́.
Veneto cleanser egbògi àtẹ̀jẹ̀ṣe tí bádọ̀tí ara wọ̀ yá ìjà rẹ̀ wọ́n mọ́lẹ̀ ṣe wọ́n yẹbẹyẹbẹ. Inú tó ń kú tó ń dàrú gbòdògbòdò kò bára rẹ̀ èrí inú ẹ̀jẹ̀. Amọ̀nà ti dé o. Veneto cleanser egbògi àtẹ̀jẹ̀ṣe tí a fi ewé àti egbò ṣe ní ọ̀nà ti gbàlódé. NAFDAC fòǹtẹ̀lù MA1 Nigeria Limited ni wọ́n gbé Veneto cleanser jáde. A wà ní nọ́mbà 17 Ọba Akínyẹlé off Adeogun Street, Aláàfin Avenue, Olúyọ̀lé Estate, Ring Road, Ìbàdàn. Telephone 08034051533 fún títà àti rírà. Ìwọ náà darapọ̀ mọ́ wa. Veneton cleanser àmọ̀tẹ́kùn egbòogi tí ya gbogbo kòkòrò inú ẹ̀jẹ̀ wẹ́lẹ́wẹ́lẹ́.
kò máa ṣe ń tó dùn tó kájíjọ máa ń ṣá.
ẹ̀yin ènìyàn lú o afrobet dé pẹ̀lú ìfàfàlàlà falàlà ajá olórí tí ó fi bá gbò kàn káàkáà pàtàkì ìṣẹ́gbẹ́ kókókó ìrókò ogunlọ́gọ̀ àwọn ènìyàn ni wọ́n ti ń jẹ àǹfààní tí wọ́n sì ń fò fáyọ̀ ní gbogbo ìgbà látara iléeṣẹ́ afrobet. ǹjẹ́ tí wàá gbọ́ báyìí o gbogbo ẹ̀yin ènìyàn lú afrobet dé pẹ̀lú ọ̀kan òjọ̀kan araba bàrà lọ́wọ́ yìí ìlọ́po mẹ́ta wínìyìn ilẹ̀ ó máa gbà afrobet ló tó bẹ́ẹ̀ eegun tí ó ṣe bí eyín ọ̀sọ̀ wọn lágbárí kò sí òòṣà tí ó ṣe bí ògùn lágbẹ̀dẹ afrobet kórè dàálẹ̀ mọ́ ẹ́ ojú òpó ọ̀là tẹ́wọ́tọ̀ rẹ̀ o www.afrobet.com.ng ẹ wá gbọ́ tí géèmù kan bá ba tíkẹ́ẹ̀tì yín jẹ́ ẹ ó gba wíìnì yín pẹ̀lú ìrọ̀rùn ẹ ta ayò yín níbi tẹ́ ò ti gba owó tó nítumọ̀ ẹ tètè wá jẹnu àǹfààní tó ń lọ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ báyìí níléeṣẹ́ afrobet tẹ̀sójú ẹ̀ www.afrobet.com.ng ìlọ́po mẹ́ta wíìnì lẹ́wọ́ máa gbà àgbàrá kì í fòkòtò ire ò ní fò wá o.
Are you a young school leaver waiting for admission or a tertiary institution student held back by ASU incessant strike actions or professional itching to switch to a career in IT? Zenov Technologies brings you good news of its Technology Fellowship Program. This is a 2-year program where you are trained to become a software engineer or cybersecurity professional or data analyst or cloud engineer with an opportunity to work with a fast-growing company. Through these programs, all successful candidates shall be given a laptop each with hybrid learning model and have access to our technology hub in Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, or Ibadan with a host of other opportunities. What then are you waiting for? Visit www.senoftech.xyz/tech fellowship to register for just 10,000 naira only. Application closes on 31st May 2022. For more inquiries, please call 0907 197 3859. Senov Technologies, a key to unlocking your potentials in IT.
Sumbo, where are you going looking like you want to beat somebody? My sister, see me see trouble oh. Abeg, see wetin I order, see wetin dem deliver give me. E resemble, and I don't pay online oh. Chai, now why me I dey like buy online only on Jumia? Because I fit pay on delivery and return or change my item for free if I change my mind. And you tell me before oh, now Jumia go dey buy from going forward. For first, Dazin Apparel, now me and you today. Sumbo.
Enjoy peace of mind that comes with pay on delivery when you shop on Jumia and avoid stories that touch. Jumia, your everyday delivered.
Màámi, kí ni ìdí tá fi ń ṣe Ramadani?
Àkókò láti súnmọ́ Ọlọ́run ni, àti àkókò láti ṣe ohun tó dára fún ọmọ ẹnìkejì wa.
Ṣé ìdí nìyẹn tá fi ń fáwọn alábàágbé wa lóúnjẹ nígbà iftar?
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni.
Ṣé mo lè pe gbogbo àwọn ọmọ kíláàsì mi láti wá jẹ gbádùn Bonvita nígbà iftar?
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni o lè pè wọ́n.
Gbé ìgbésẹ̀ ìfikún lórí ohun pínpín ní àkókò yìí. Bí Cadbury Bonvita ṣe ń fún yín ní àlékún 50 gram lórí gbogbo 450 gram ìpolówó àpò alátùnrọ̀ Bonvita tí o bá rà. Bonvita kún fún oríṣi vitamins àti minerals láti fún ara yín ní okun tí ẹ nílò ní àsìkò yìí. Bonvita, agbára fún ìpinnu.
32 FM
94.9.
When the people became silent,
The government became oppressive. It's time to lend your voice to politics.
On 32 FM 94.9.
All right, welcome back from that break. Still the podium on 32 FM 94.9. Adetayo Adekunle is the guest, a spokesperson for the Oshibajo campaign group in Oyo State. Barrister Ogunlola, over to you.
Yes, thank you very much. There is another area that I have been waiting to ask our noble guest, this question. And it borders on the economy. I have a friend in Lagos who prefers to refer to Yemi Osinbajo as the Agboorin of Nigeria. Now, the government of Muhammadu Buhari.
Sorry, can you translate that? The Agboorin.
The man where they carry money.
Okay, I get that now. Okay. Okay.
Now, considering the policy of government.
Trader money.
Yes, considering the policy of government, this cashless economy and what have you, wouldn't you consider the idea of trader money a policy somersault? That has somewhat or somehow affected the economy. And if policy somersault can be so encouraged by Yemi Osinbajo, how do you think such a man should be allowed, to handle, this precarious state of our economy?
Yes, thank you very much for that question, sir. What I would say to that, during the period that Professor Osinbajo was supervising the social investments programs, he went around markets, he went around towns, and so on and so forth. But the mistake that most of us make in that is that he does not go to markets with bags of cash around him. he was the face of the SIPs, particularly during the first time before the establishment of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. But the trader money, farmer money, market money itself was essentially implemented by the Bank of Industry. So the Bank of Industry was the implementation agency. What Osinbajo simply did was, in continuation of his shuttle diplomacy, was to bring, that benefit closer to the people.
Are you saying that those people accounts were opened for them?
The Bank of Industry has the details of all of the beneficiaries. Anybody can send an FOI request to the BOI.
There was something in the news some time ago, that they were having problem locating those who
no, because they did.
I don't know if you were.
They did. In fact, I witnessed one of such programs where there was biometric enrollment by the officials of the BOI.
But the question we're asking is, were those people, were accounts opened for them and monies transferred into those accounts, or they were given cash?
The BOI did not give them cash. They had an e-wallet that they used for that program.
Are you sure?
Yes, I am sure.
But the vice president was in Bodija Market.
I was there with him. He never shared money.
Adekunle.
I was also with him in OJ in 2018.
Adekunle.
Yes.
In 2018, the same OJ you mentioned.
I was there.
There were some women that were flaunting 5,000 naira notes collected.
They were
from
there.
The
they were handed over to them.
He did not
cash.
Look,
even though the staff of a Bank of Industry were available at that venue, but he was distributing cash.
He did not. He did. I was at those two.
Are you saying?
Look, I was at
let's
those
get
two
it right.
markets.
Let's help out now. Let's get it right. Monies were shared. However, you are saying that the vice president didn't share directly, but through third party, right?
No.
So what are we saying?
The BOI, the Bank of Industry, was the implementation agency for the trader money. Professor Osinbajo was the overall supervisor of the SIP.
So he would fly in a helicopter just to share 5,000.
No. Look. It was about service to the people. Okay. Is the principal reason why you are in government. Okay. And because you are vice president, you must not be bigger, than the individual, J or Bere. They are all citizens of Nigeria. The BOL did a biometric enrollment. They captured all of these beneficiaries. Anybody can send an FOI request to those people. And look, individually, some of us are also of the opinion that if you, analyze poverty on the basis of what Bretton Woods institution sent to you, then sometimes it is questionable given our local peculiarities. If you go to Okeogun or where I'm from, or Ogbomoso, or even parts of Ibadan, there are people that our mothers call Alajakpa, petty traders. Some of their businesses survive on as little as 3 to 5 to 10,000 naira. And World Bank or IMF might say that they are also poor people, that they are poverty-stricken people. And the Yorubas will say that that a person who can feed in the Yoruba analogy is not a poor man. So what I'm essentially saying was that scheme was well thought out, given our own local peculiarities.
No, I don't think that scheme was peculiarly Nigerian. I mean, let's not go into all of those, because for instance, we assume somebody can feed himself, therefore it's no longer poor. The quality of food is the person eating. I mean, we can go into all of those debates and raise that. But you see, because that policy. And again, that's not the first intervention, poverty intervention in Nigeria, even in terms of cash transfer. Under the PDP government, we have the care of the poor and all the rest of them. So please, we get that straight. Then the whole idea of distributing cash didn't end with trader money. We also see the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs also distributing cash. Especially remember during that COVID and the outrageous claims in terms of the expenditure they have made. Humongous sums of money, hundreds of billions of naira. You then ask yourself, where did the money go? How much has been appropriated and how much really gets to? Because we also got information that it's 10,000 naira. But it's 8,000 naira that gets to the people eventually. Because you talk about intermediary now, there are consequences for that.
Well, these are allegations that essentially border.
Remember, these are voters.
Of course, they are voters. But these allegations are, the allegations that we expect governments to investigate further.
The question that I was asking is this.
Yes.
A man who can have a U-turn,
yes,
a policy somersault on the economy, as the vice president did, can such a man be entrusted with a problem?
I don't know what you mean by the policy somersault.
Yeah, because we just talked about the cashless economy that we talked about.
Okay.
And then you now have some people distributing cash all over the place. Can he be entrusted with this economy at the present state?
Okay, thank you, sir. Well, I am not an economist, but my teacher is also here. I'm a political scientist essentially, but what I know really is that it is even the duty of the CBN to really formulate fiscal policies. It's essentially the duty of the CBN. But I think what an Oshibajo presidency would do is to assemble the best of brains in finance, in economy, and he knows how to identify all of these people.
Yeah,
we know for sure that the economy has challenges. We will be lying if we say the economy does not have challenges, and we don't live in mass. But I think that, look, even with his chairmanship of the Economic Council, that council is essentially advisory.
Yes.
That's all the governors. Even at that, the buck stops at the table of Mr. President. But as president, I think Oshibajo would have a better CBN governor. He would also have a better finance minister. And those are really the tools, that you use to push very good monetary and fiscal policies.
Let's leave the economy aside. Now, we have a retired general.
Yes.
Who Obasanjo has described, whose government Obasanjo has described as being overwhelmed by security challenges. Now, looking at an Oshibajo,
yes,
who, considering his me and
gentleman,
and, how do you foresee him, solving these insecurity issues? Because
I hope he won't run away.
No, he would not. You see, in his declaration speech, he said that he would strengthen the capacity of states and local governments to perform optimally. And given his antecedents, he was probably talking about. He was not even probably. He was talking
State
about
policing, right?
Restructuring in another way.
Okay. He's not in charge of local government. He won't be in charge as president.
No, he could sponsor executive bills. He could also.
We are talking
about defense.
We are talking
yes,
about
security.
Some of the security challenges.
The president who is going to inherit a military that has been emasculated, and all manner of sabotage and what have you.
I think what he would do, is to combine, kinetic and non-kinetic approach, to fight it. Some of these wars, they are ideological battles that you may not be able to win successfully, with a trigger. Some of them require you to involve greater local participation.
So
particularly with intelligence gathering.
He's most likely going to be friends with Gumi then.
No. Look, in the next few weeks, he would, itemize
all of this
what he intends to do in the security. But he would he wants to devolve greater power to states and local government. I know he would do that. I know for sure that he would do that. That's number one. Number two, we should also keep in mind that some of the security challenges that we face, they also have international dimension to them, particularly, the crisis in the Sahel region and so on and so forth. So he is going to build a better relationship with our neighbors.
And you are sure he's not going to be another Jonathan in the area of insecurity?
No. He's certainly, he's certainly not going to be another Jonathan.
Now let me, because we'll try as much as possible to start rounding off.
Yes.
Let me ask you this. Looking at the APC.
Yes.
The APC basically right now has about 3 blocks.
Yes.
The President's Block, the Oshibajo Block, and the Tinubu Block. And then this morning on this show, Omoyele Sowore said that it is likely that a Goodluck Jonathan might join the APC in the coming week.
Okay.
Now, I'm coming. Let me land. If all these things happen, and there's this disagreement within the party, what if this party disintegrates? What would be the fate of your principal, the vice president?
Thank you for Dr. Jonathan. If you look at the last, I'm sorry I don't have a full citation here, but if you look at the last constitutional amendment signed into law by President Buhari, any vice president who succeeds his principal, either through resignation or death or impeachment, would only serve one term. So Dr. Jonathan is legally stopped from becoming the president of Nigeria again. So if APC makes the mistake of giving him the ticket, they have just dashed the presidency a la carte to the PDP. So it's not even a factor.
We're not looking at him contesting.
Yes.
Joining the party, he has his own structure.
Oh, no,
he will form his own block. And at the end of the day, you have loggerheads within the party.
What will determine whom a party fields for election, a sensible party, quote and unquote.
A sensible party.
Quote and unquote, is the electability of that candidate. Given all that we have seen, the aspirants that have declared so far, you just need to undertake an independent study, that is value free, like our guys taught us.
What my independent study tells me is that strong candidates never really win the presidency in Nigeria.
And so that's where Noshibajo comes in.
So you are saying he's not strong?
Strong,
That is what you're saying.
Reading Professor.
You're saying he's not strong.
Reading Professor Ayede's mind.
Okay.
What he's talking about is about political strength. And look, presidential succession in Nigeria from 1979 to is essentially about the elite consensus.
Yeah.
Shagari was brought from somewhere. Jonathan was brought. Even Baba OBJ was
brought.
also a product of elite consensus.
Okay.
So whosoever has the greatest supporters amongst the elites and the Nigerian people will become. And I think that Yemi Osinbajo has that support.
Okay,
Now,
lastly,
okay.
We'll see that's consensus
we
at the primary.
just have barely 1 minute to go.
Just this one, there is this conspiracy theory that the powers that be are pitching Tinubu and Yemi Osinbajo together so that they can fight themselves to the death, and then there is a third dog that will come and snatch the bone.
I do not.
Is that plausible?
Well, I do not, believe in the veracity of that theory. But, as Yoruba people, Yemi Osinbajo and Asiwaju Tinubu should support us. Should conduct themselves more intellectually. They should conduct themselves more, in the Omoluabi character, that defines who a Yoruba man is. Of course, Yorubas will say that if two brothers fight themselves to death over a property their parents left behind, a stranger might inherit it. So I think that theory comes from that proverb. So we expect supporters of those gladiators to conduct themselves, decently.
Okay, Professor, your final thoughts?
Well, I
or
think,
your question?
I think that my last question is really this. Elite consensus.
Yes.
So what are the forces that you think will lead to a consensus in favor of Osinbajo?
For now, in the APC, let's start from the APC.
Yes.
President Buhari.
You have about 30 seconds.
President Buhari is one of those elites, and I think that given what the services that Osinbajo has rendered very faithfully,
and he has not come out to support Osinbajo. And we are not still sure who his candidate is.
Of course, he has told us that he has a candidate in mind, and given the boxes that he gave to us, I think Osinbajo ticks all of the boxes.
Okay, my last question for you is this: what would Nigerians miss if eventually Osinbajo does not clinch the ticket?
Well, they would miss a president who can hold his own against any individual anywhere in the world. They would miss a president who their loss of office does not get into his head. A man who is reasonably accessible.
Okay.
And a man who is reasonably approachable too.
All right.
What about the argument that the presidency should go to the southeast?
Well, I mean, that argument is also plausible for those who are promoting it. But the Northeast would also tell you that they have also not had an elected president too.
The presidency has been loaned to the south.
Yes, it has. And in the APC, we can safely assume that it will be microzone to the southwest.
Does Osinbajo then believe in justice and fairness?
Well, I mean, justice and fairness, they are questionable concepts. They are arguable concepts.
All right, it's been an awesome time on the podium this morning. Adekunle Adetayo, it's good having you on the podium this morning.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed myself too. Thank you.
Professor Remi Ayede, it's good to always have you on the podium.
It's my pleasure. Yeah.
And then Barrister Yomi Ogunlola, it's good to be here and having you. All right, I worked alongside Oluwaseun Adekunle, one I call Perez, and Oyeni Yeson, Thomas Ikechukwu Lucky. Until I come your way next week, I am CHIKE OGBOGU, wishing you a very wonderful weekend. Enjoy your Easter holidays. Do not eat too many of those turkeys and chicken. Do I come to your house?
Now you go entertain us.
I they come. All right. All right, bye for now.
Yeah, bye everyone.